Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics, and with the forewarned massive impact of Brexit on Northern Ireland, I'd like to take a look at what might be possible to improve the situation, beyond, of course, the pointless jingoism of Boris Johnson yet again pretending that he has the balls to defy the world by breaching the Good Friday Agreement. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, I'd already talked about this last week, I suppose, with the renewed threats against the Northern Ireland Protocol, part of the Brexit withdrawal agreement that's intended to preserve the Good Friday Agreement and, by extension, peace in Ireland. And these threats have taken the form of the DUP threatening to block any business in the Northern Ireland Assembly that involves implementing the protocol, and Boris Johnson pretending that he's willing to breach the protocol again. And of course, you've had sections of the British media, most notably the Daily Telegraph yesterday, I think, trying to say that in actual fact, I think a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland will be just the ticket. I mean, on the point of Boris Johnson, I have to say that it never ceases to amaze me how often these Brexit lunatics, like in the DUP, will happily alternate between support for Johnson and betrayal. And then, oh, we support him. Oh, no, he's nasty. Oh, we support him. Oh, he's betrayed us again. And it just keeps going backwards and forwards. Like, he told them he would never allow a customs border between Britain and Northern Ireland. Hey, well done, Boris. Then he signs an international treaty putting one there. Oh, Boris, no, no, no. Then he says it won't actually mean a customs border. Oh, that's all right then. You know, he was interviewed on this point in 2019. He was asked bluntly, everyone is saying that this puts a border in the Irish Sea. Are you saying that everyone else is wrong and you are right? You alone are right and everyone else is wrong? And he said yes. He actually said that to camera. A known liar was the only person telling the truth. Anyway, long story short, he later admitted that there would indeed be a customs border up the Irish Sea. Then he said he would ignore part of the treaty that meant customs arrangements inside the UK. Then he climbed down on that and said that checks, actually, yeah, those checks do need to take place. Do we see a pattern here? Now he's saying he's going to remove those trade barriers again. And what have we got? People believe him again. And it's really quite something to behold. But anyway, this isn't actually going to improve the situation. This is not going to solve any problems. On the off chance that he's not actually lying this time, which would be remarkable. You know, he is, of course. But if he wasn't, this would actually just make things much, much worse. And for him as well as for other people. No improvement to GB Northern Ireland trade is going to come from this latest bit of distraction from the Prime Minister and his other senior ministers. But that doesn't mean to say that there aren't things that can't be done. You know, the problem, as always, is that our childish government just go about it in completely the wrong way. You know, they see it as their role. They define now the Conservative Party as being in opposition to Europe. So everything has to be a competition. And the problem is when you make everything a competition and you just lose every time, it does you no good. You know, a frequent commentator on Brexit, David Hennig, put it very well. He said, if the UK government went to the EU and said, look, here are the 3 things that if you do, we will resolve internal UK issues like unionist opposition to the protocol, then that is interesting. Here are 20 things and we still don't guarantee we won't be back for more, is almost useless, he said. Now, let's be clear. With the current arrangements, the EU got essentially what they needed. They got what they needed from the withdrawal agreement. They got what they needed from the Brexit deal. You know, yes, they'd have preferred it if Brexit had never taken place, but they've moved on now. They've moved on. You know, this is just an issue for the UK now. They have a deal that means the integrity of their single market is maintained. The Good Friday Agreement is maintained. They are gaining in the financial services sector at the cost to the UK's, and they are maintaining largely tariff-free trade with a large market on their doorstep. They are not simply going to allow their current position to slip because of a bunch of charlatans who have spent the last few years being incredibly crass and offensive, having a hissy fit. We have to suggest something that is in the EU's interests, or at the very least doesn't weaken their hard-fought position. That being said, I do not believe that the ramped-up rhetoric regarding abandoning the Northern Ireland Protocol or Michael Gove's threatening letter are actually intended to get the EU to do anything. It might be. I mean, you can look at how poorly we've prepared for literally every step of Brexit so far, and yes, you can't exclude the fact that maybe these ministers are still failing to understand how negotiations actually work, but I just don't see how it makes sense. They surely will know by now that the EU don't fold on anything that's important to them. At the end of the day, we got the deal because Boris Johnson folded. You know, it's a little bit like the fictional president in Love Actually, isn't it? They'll give us anything we ask for as long as it's not something they don't want to give. Now, in response to Gove's demands that the EU extend the current grace periods, Maros Sefcovic, which is Gove's opposite number in the EU Commission, was reportedly concerned that the UK government had not yet made good on a number of promises in regards to implementing the protocol. So what we have here from the EU's point of view, so UK government has made certain promises in terms of implementing the protocol, and we've demonstrated ourselves to be fundamentally untrustworthy, if not last year, then over the last few years, but certainly last year when we said in Parliament, we were quite happy to say, yeah, we're going to break international law and go back on the withdrawal agreement. We made some promises a few months ago that we've not complied with, and now we're asking for concessions from the EU. I mean, how would you react to something like that? Someone who's demonstrated themselves to be fundamentally untrustworthy, they've agreed to do something, a number of things, they haven't followed up on that promise, and now they're asking you to do some more things than had been agreed. Are you just going to go, yeah, sure, why not? No, of course you're not. And I'm not sure that that sort of position at all makes it easy for anyone in the EU Commission, even if they wanted to give ground without having to answer some very tough questions from groups in the EU Parliament, as well as ministers in member states. That being said, Michael Martin, who's the Irish PM, last week said that there was scope for some common sense modifications. Now, I do hope that common sense means something different to the Irish, because to the English, common sense apparently means killing your nearest and dearest with a deadly virus because your trip to the pub is more important. But it keeps coming back to this problem of UK government demanding rather than asking with assurances. You know, like the privileged freeloaders that they've been all their lives, they will keep demanding, and they will demand because they've been so entitled for so long, and they'll demand more and more. They won't accept a gesture of goodwill in the spirit in which it's given and reciprocate because, as far as they're concerned, they're entitled to it. You know, they'll treat anything as theirs by right of their privileged birth. That's just how they think. These people do not understand give and take because they've never had to engage in it. You know, with the exception of political horse trading to get to the top of the Conservative Party, of course. And all that ever involved was telling lies about what they deliver and not actually delivering, and telling more lies which seem to work because the people who put them in that position aren't all that bright. What we need to do is to point out some aspects of the Northern Ireland Protocol which hamper people and which wouldn't represent a threat to the single market if altered. That's what needs to be done from a practical point of view. We need to go, look, there's these issues that are occurring which just seem like excessive bureaucracy, and in actual fact they don't really seem to be shielding the single market. Can't we do something with this? And once implemented, you know, things could then start moving along. And yeah, we might have to chip away at things over the next few years as we come to some new arrangement. But those assurances would have a lot more credibility if we actually stick to our side of the bargain. We need to make good on the assurances we've already given, surely, in order to have our future assurances taken seriously. And stop bellyaching about the things that we have implemented against the will of the EU. They didn't ask us to hold a referendum on Brexit. They didn't ask us to lie in it, to kick us out, and they didn't ask us to withdraw. It was against the will of the EU. Come to that, it was against the will of Northern Ireland, and come to that, it was actually against the will of the majority of the population of the entire UK. My worry is that the game of politics is more important to Boris Johnson and his cronies than actually dealing with the problems they've caused. And that they somehow think that they can take on the EU in direct conflict and come away with anything other than their arse being handed to them yet again. We may know more in a week. Gove and Sefcovic are meeting about the issue. We will see if any credible suggestions emerge then. Sometimes this has happened before, rhetoric for the newspapers, and then when they actually sit down, Michael Gove actually agrees to some sensible solution. That has happened, and it may happen again. But we'll have to find out. Until then, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.